I'm here with a celebrity today. I'm really nervous.
How long have we known each other and you're nervous?
I don't know. It's just like you're in the flesh.
You're
in the flesh, and that's something that still takes me back.
Me too.
Okay. Welcome to Bob and Friends. This is a very special edition of Bob and Friends.
Indeed.
So, can I use your government name? Can I use your full government name?
I give you permission.
Like your full government name?
You may.
Okay. Well, so this is Kasey Elizabeth Corey. I use your middle name. How does it feel?
It was shocking. It kind of made me feel like, when your parents would yell at you as a kid and be like, they only use your middle name when you're in trouble.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm starting to reframe that now. It's a positive thing, so I thank you for that.
Reframing trauma in a positive light.
Indeed.
I love to hear it. Well, okay. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so freaking happy that I'm here too.
Listen.
I'm listening.
This is one thing that I have to say is that we were just talking about how I can't believe that she's a real person.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't, I feel like I'm gonna, reach my hand through your face and it's gonna be like, whoa!
Yeah.
Which, okay, also one other thing. 1, 2, 3. Happy Halloween! Welcome to the not only Halloween edition of Bob and Friends, but this is also not only that, but Kasey Elizabeth newly developed Bob personality trait, a lisp.
Whoa.
Maybe,
New lore for the pod.
New lore for the pod.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Kasey Corey, I'm going to give a brief... Actually, you want to just tell them who the fuck you are? Tell them who the fuck you are.
Well, this is a good question. Who are any of us, really?
Shit.
Deep. Anyway, I'll tell you who I am. After
Take a
much
sip of
soul
my mimosa.
searching, I am Kasey Corey. Kasey Elizabeth Corey. Elizabeth Corey. You get it.
Stylized. Elizabeth
Honestly,
Corey.
I think I might just change the spelling at this point. I know Aubrey. I'm a friend of Bob on Bob and Friends. And
shit, that's a name! Shit!
Whoa! And
sorry.
cut.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. And so we've known each other for over 4 years.
Yes. This
4
is
and
the
a half.
fifth. This is the 5th year, I would say.
5th year of our lore, of our shared lore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me and Kasey met each other upon coming into college. Actually, how we met is very interesting.
Yeah.
We met each other at how would you describe what Impact is? Christian summer camp, but for college freshmen?
Pretty much.
Type thing?
It kind of came to be because there's a camp that our school does that helps seniors in high school who are going into college transition into that college life. So they make friends.
College lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. They learn, they make friends. They learn all, what to expect when they go, blah, blah, blah. But that camp has a reputation for being sinful, a little bit.
Sinful? Wait, in what sense?
Just that it's, they have piercings and they are...
Oh, yeah. You didn't have your nose ring at that point, did you? They might have, burned you at the stake.
No, they would have burned me at the stake. I think we got our... Were you there when I got my nose ring?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because...
I might have been with Kate. That tracks because she loves piercings.
Yes, so Kasey was my roommate.
Indeed.
I say was, which is, really...
So sad.
And the reason I keep saying that I can't believe that you're a real person is because Kasey graduated from Texas A&M last spring, and now she's a really, really smart... She's always been a really, really smart person, but now she's even exponentially smart person going to grad school in the South.
In the South.
We thought that we were in the South.
Did
you not?
We did.
Did you not?
We thought that, and then I went to Mississippi. I went to Oxford, Mississippi, and everything is Southern. It is deep South. So yes.
Rooted
South.
Yes.
Right. So, finishing the Impact story, the camp that we went to, that we met at, was a Christian version of that. It was specifically for, undergrads coming into college, not undergrads, high schoolers coming into college, that wanted, to meet people, but were specifically Christian. So it was like a Christian camp, but for for a purpose.
For the fish.
For the fish. So that's where we
Yes.
met, because both of our parents didn't want to send us to fish camp, which was the sinful one. And they were like, you should go to the Jesus one.
You should consider going.
You should go.
You should consider giving your life. But
Yeah.
well, the thing for me is that, I mean, obviously, like, I have Christian background and like all of that.
Yeah.
But the reason that I went was by default because I was stupid. I was a Blindergartner, which
Oh.
context. Blinn is the community college, and it's often that if you couldn't get into A&M, you would go to Blinn first and then transfer into A&M.
Right.
Which is, people like me
Mm-hmm.
did that.
Right.
But we're here now, right?
And I always forget that you went to Blinn.
Is my brain so big that like you often forget?
Yeah, because it's like there's the stereotype, or I guess like a outlook that people who go to Blinn first are like so stupid they can't get into A&M. But that's not the case. A lot of them are just like don't have the resources to get in first, or they just don't test well. Like there's so many other reasons why you don't go to A&M first.
And that's on standardized testing.
And that's so true. But I know that's never what I think about. Never even when we first met, like that was not a characteristic trait that I was like, oh, that's a Blinn one.
That's
loser.
That's one of the Blinn ones.
One of the Blinn ones.
Yes. No. In our beautiful college town of College Station, that they refer sometimes to the people that go to Blinn as Blindergartners.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know what? I kind of owned it.
You did. I've never heard anyone say it except you, and I think it's only in a positive context, and I think that's beautiful.
I heard Brittany Broski refer to the Blindergartners on her podcast because she went to.
She did. Yeah, I didn't know she mentioned them.
She did one time, like, I think it was actually on TMG. I was listening to her TMG episode.
And she was wearing an A&M sweatshirt, and I was like, our people.
Blade Maroon.
Blade Maroon.
The truth of the matter is that this is probably, like, the last school that I feel like I, like, would have gone to, but here, like, somehow, sometimes I even, like, forget the plot of, like, how I, like, came to, like, find a major here and, like, go here.
Yeah, so much has happened since we incoming fish at Impact Camp.
Yes.
So much has changed, and so that's where we met, and from there, we became friends very quickly, I would say, completely owing to you, because you reached out, and you made it your purpose when we left camp not to lose touch with anyone, which I thought was amazing.
Oh.
And
girl,
we hung out. There was the week between us finishing camp and us starting classes. It's called Howdy Week.
We say howdy here at Texas A&M. This is just a bunch of like stupid A&M college lore. Like I'm really realizing how stupid.
I know. Moving on from the stupid A&M lore. That's why we became friends. We hung out that week a lot. And slowly but surely, I weaseled my way into your life, and I never left. And this is where we are today.
Girl, you were just like a fish on a line. Like I just reeled you in.
Well.
But you like caught onto me.
I said.
And like, give me like a into the mic. Yes. That will become, the theme of Bones. So, Kasey. Bones.
Oh.
Kasey is she's studying to be an anthropologist. Specifically, what is your specialty?
My specialty is bioarchaeology, which is studying past cultures through skeletons or human remains left behind by them. That's what I do. I go up and I dig up some bones.
But Kasey, so today is Kasey's birthday, so she's officially had 22 years of boning.
Woo! That's such a good one. I can't believe I've never used that before. They wrote it on a banner that they've hung up on above our cupboards today, and I walked down the stairs, and I was hit both by the gratitude from my lovely friends and also how amazing that pun is.
The catchphrase. Yeah, because okay, so background. So me and Lindsay is our other roommate. Lindsay is the person that I made the banner with, but me and Kasey lived together 2 years. 2 years. So we lived together 2 years, and one tradition that we started doing in sophomore year is that we would make, for each other's birthdays, we would make banners out of paper towels.
Yeah.
And then we would put, like, some kind of, like, silly pun relating to the person on the paper towel.
Correct, yeah.
Yes, and so that's what Lindsay, like, crawled into my room this morning and she was like, we should make a paper towel banner for Kasey.
So beautiful.
I don't know if that will be legible on the like that audio, I don't know how that's going to cut out.
You know, you'll get the gist.
But yeah, so Lindsay was like, what should we write on the banner? And then for the Halloween episode, I got to keep the spooky
You have to.
accents.
You must. Yeah.
You should, and you must, and you will.
And you will.
And I will.
Yeah.
And then she was like, what should we write on the banner? And we went back and forth, and Lindsay was like, 22 years of boning!
She's a bona fide genius. Thank you.
Shit.
Shit.
And that's why I had you on here today.
And, you know, that's the end of my time. I think I'm going to head out. That's all I needed to say.
And cut. But, so today is your birthday, and it also falls on Halloween weekend. Thus, if you're watching the visuals, which you should be, there is some various decor.
Indeed.
That we have in here.
Yes.
We have a skeleton hand.
Mm-hmm.
We have a clown.
He really blends in. You wouldn't see him unless you're looking, and I think that's what it should be. It really jumps out at you.
Jumps out at you.
I
think that's the most scary part of Halloween is the subtle things that we don't notice.
I completely agree.
And there's also a special in the middle of me and Kasey. There is a... How would you describe that? It's like a witch doll. Witch doll?
Yeah, it's like a witch doll. This witch doll itself has a lot of lore. We just have a lot of lore to talk about today.
No, I was going to say, we have to, like, explain, like, the origins of how everything came to be. And it's like, which is great, because that's what this is for.
That's what this is for. So this witch here, I remember, so it was sophomore year. The first year we lived together was sophomore year, because I lived on campus and she was at Blinn. But when we, when I moved out of the dorms, I simply, again, weaseled my way into your apartment, and I said, I'm not leaving. And that's how that happened.
Back.
I'm not going. So the first year that me, and Lindsay lived together in that apartment, her grandma sent her.
Nana.
It wasn't even Halloween.
Nana.
It was.
Oh my God! It was like many months in advance.
It might have been like February. Like it might have been like Valentine's Day kind of thing. I don't remember. I just remember it was so random. But her grandma sent her like, I guess you could call it a care package. It was just a bunch of stuff. That
you call that care?
I call that. You know, I've always loved her, and you've always hated her, and I think that's fundamentally where we differ on these kinds of things. I love her to death. She's so creepy.
I love her to death. She's so creepy.
She's so creepy. But
I really hope my friends say that about me. I love her to death. She's so creepy.
Put that on my gravestone. This is a tangent. Most people who met me.
Free.
Most people who met me after college like think of me as like a creepy bone lady. Because that's my personality.
That's your path. That's your destiny.
Exactly. So I empathize with her on a spiritual level. We are both creepy, yet lovable, and I hope you put that on my tombstone. Creepy but lovable.
Yes. She's creepy but so cool.
So cool. But her grandma sent her this in a random package of like random things that had nothing to do with. It was like biscuits and those small pancakes that were sat in our pantry for like a year.
Yes.
And nobody ate.
Yes.
Yeah, those, and then her. And I remember I think we were all there when she unboxed it. And I think it was just one of the funniest things I've ever seen at the time. Because it was so random, first of all. There was no reason that her grandma should have been sending this. It was months before Halloween.
Prepping us.
She was prepping us. And then also...
She said, I know what you need.
This is what you need in your life. And then also, look at her. You know, it was a conglomeration of a bunch of different factors.
Hold her up?
Yeah.
This is... she doesn't have a name.
We never dared to name her. I think she would curse us if we tried to name her. She would, and especially because it's
not my true name.
That's not my name. I think that's how she talks, honestly.
Wait, do that again.
That's not my name.
Have you ever seen The Lady in Black before? Sorry, this is like a slight tangent.
I don't think so.
The Lady in Black, featuring. Okay, I'm gonna get his name right. I always get this actor's name wrong. Mm-hmm. It's Daniel Radcliffe.
It is Daniel Radcliffe.
I usually call him David Radcliffe by accident, which is a flaw of mine. And accept me for my flaws.
Yeah, and we all know what you mean. Anyway, and that's friendship.
And that's love.
And that's love.
And that's amore. But the Lady in Black from that film, her voice, like when she speaks on the rare occasion, like when she's being creepy.
Yeah.
She sounds like that, like exactly like you.
I have nailed it.
I think that's called voice acting.
And maybe I should just change my career.
You could do it on the side.
I could do it on the side, yeah. Most people do OnlyFans on the side. I do voice acting.
Girl.
And that's on that.
One of my friends that I met in Japan, I studied abroad in Japan, we're not going to get too much into it, but one of my friends that I met in Japan, she was like, oh yeah, my friend like does part-time voice acting, and I was like, part-time?
What you mean part-time?
I was like, you can just like do that
Yeah,
if I could, if I may.
right. What if I just
I don't
voice
think I'm
acted?
suited.
What if I just voice acted with my voice? Like, that sounds stupid, but what if I didn't have any other
Wait,
voices?
with just like your voice?
Yeah. I mean, celebrities do that, but that's because they're celebrities. Like, no one's gonna see me on the street and be like, I bet she has a voice we can put in a movie.
I think that you have I think you have, okay, let's think about this. So, what, like, I'm gonna close my eyes.
Spooky.
So, for context on set, our, oh my god,
Trevor.
we're gonna come back to voice acting in a second,
Yeah.
but I have to say this. So, our shark friend that we purchased from the first episode, what's his name?
His name is Trevor.
Kasey named him
Read
Trevor
it and
today.
weep, okay? I like the name.
I like it too because you chose it, and
Yeah.
that's how it should be.
Beautiful.
But his sheer weight crashed
I actually
down
don't know.
one of my toads that's sitting behind me.
Wow. And it was the horse one. It's spooky.
Spooky.
Everything ties into Halloween, and I think that's beautiful. But yeah, so he wanted to make an appearance. He was upset that we hadn't acknowledged him yet, and I think we should not make that mistake next time.
That's so true.
So here he is, front and center.
I was gonna say you should put him like right. Wait, can you see him? Maybe put him like right in front of the witch.
They're friends.
We're playing.
We're
playing with all of our
playing with
dolls.
Yeah.
No. Okay, I'm gonna close my eyes, and then you're gonna like voice act a little for me, and
Okay.
then I'm gonna tell you what like kind of role I think that you would have based off of just your voice.
No, I think we should do the opposite. I think you should challenge me, and I think you should give me a characterization to do.
You're so right. I
And
just
I
wanted
should
to
try to
hear
match
your voice.
Okay, let me do that first. So what? Okay, give me a scenario. Give me a scene.
Okay.
Don't give me a character. Just give me a scene. Put me in the moment.
You don't want a character.
No, just give me
You
a
just
scene.
want a vibe.
Yeah.
You just want a vibe.
Yeah.
You're in a castle.
Okay.
And there is divorce conflict going on.
Divorce conflict.
Divorce conflict. That's
Wow.
ambiguous. You can decide like who's in the right, who's in the wrong.
Okay.
And you're a third party watching it. You're
Wow.
no
Doesn't
character.
matter. Okay, here I go.
The castle is burning.
The castle's burning.
The castle is burning.
Wow. Okay. All right. This is a lot to take in at once. I'm there. Let's see.
I'm sipping my mimosa. Like I'm excited to see. You know, last episode I had Nathan audition for me. So sorry, Jamie, our producer.
I was gonna say, who the fuck is Nathan? Okay, I'm in the castle. Here I go. Mom, Dad, stop fighting! There is fire behind us. We have to run.
We have to wait. Okay,
That's
I liked the what's it called? The punctuation in run.
Thank
We have
you.
to run.
We have to run.
We have to run.
Shut up, Mom.
Okay, so what
She's
I'm
a bratty
getting,
teenager. It just came out of me.
something pulled the spooky spirits in here pulled that out of you.
Yeah.
I think that I wasn't expecting that in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
I wait, okay. So based upon that, I can see your potential. Okay. Your next character is your Princess Peach,
Oh.
but No, you're not Princess Peach. Princess Peach and Bowser had a child together. You're their child.
Oh.
So what does that sound like?
Wow.
What does that sound like?
You know what? There's gonna be a lot of stylistic interpretation here. Because all I know about Bowser is that I actually don't know what Bowser sounds like.
Peaches,
Oh, okay. Well, I know what Jack Black sounds like.
To me, now Bowser sounds like Jack Black.
That's true. Did he make any noises in the video games though? Like besides grunts?
That's good.
Was that helpful? It's in the throat. It's all in the throat.
He like Jack Black. I think really takes away. He's like, oh, like he's like
Yeah.
screaming for Peach.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's a hard one. Because honestly, I think the child of Peach and Bowser would be demonic.
Okay, let me give you something. That's a little hard to work with.
Yeah. I'm not a professional, folks.
Well, clearly you are, because I think that first audition that you gave me, I think I could sample that. I think I could put that in,
Put that in
in my
somewhere.
feature film where there's a couple having divorce conflict in a castle that's burning
And there's fire. Yeah, exactly.
and there's fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, simple. You're a dragon.
I'm a dragon. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Wow, this is a good one. Is my name... What did you name him? Oh, Rick. I'm Rick the Dragon.
Me and Kasey were talking about fantasy novels earlier.
Yeah, and I asked her what she would name her dragon, and she said Rick. And I said, in that case, mine will be Morty, so that we will always match.
That's called coordination.
Indeed. Okay, here goes Rick the Dragon.
That's good.
End scene.
I'm sorry, I didn't allow you to. Cut!
Thank you.
Cut!
Thank you.
I think, from my interpretation of Rick the Dragon, I think that Rick is probably 12.
Yes. He's just starting to find his roar.
That's like, very, like, some, like, Tumblr, like, novelist could, like, really take that. It's like, the title is, like, Finding My Roar. Finding My Roar.
Yeah, it's like when The Lion King, you know, when Scar is making fun of Simba because he can't roar. Do you remember that? And he goes, he's like meowing. He's like, wah.
Aw. See, girl, just off of that alone, you've won my heart.
Well,
that's really cute.
Thank you.
No, okay, similarly to, like, there are just some, like, cute sounds that people make. This is cringy, but, like, there's just, like, oh, it's, like, so cute.
Embrace it.
That was one of them. The other one, my boyfriend Tyler. Mysterious boyfriend Tyler!
I don't think he exists.
He does not exist, but my mysterious boyfriend, my boyfriend Tyler, does the Kirby sound effect, like, Poyo!
Again, he doesn't exist, but I've never heard him say that. I need to make him say that.
Well, he's only started doing that because the souvenir that I brought him back from Japan...
He showed me.
Yeah. Well, for the listeners, I bought him some Kirby underwear.
Yeah, and
some Kirby undies.
I need everyone to know that I had not seen this man in like 5 months, maybe more than that. And
I can so see him like, Kasey, like.
Yeah, and one of the first
look
things,
at this.
One of the first things he said to me, like he walked in and I gave him a hug and we talked and stuff, and then we went into the living room and he was like, "Do you like my shirt?" And it was a nice shirt, and I was like, "Yeah, I like it," and it has Egypt on it, and of course I'm an anthropologist, so I love Egypt.
We love ancient Egyptian history.
Exactly. And it's like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And he was like, "Yeah, Aubrey bought it for me." And then he looked down. He was like, "Actually, Aubrey bought me this whole outfit, including these Kirby underwear." He did not narrate that, but in my head, that's what it sounded like. And I laughed so hard, and I was like, "That is so perfect." And I think I looked at you, and I was like, "You have to state your claim, because no woman is going to look at those underwear and think that he bought those for himself."
No.
Exactly.
And the best part about them is that I got a matching pair for myself.
Oh, that's perfect.
As well.
Of course.
But yeah, no, he does a cute little Poyo. Like, there's just some, like, certain... And also, wait, this is another thing about Kasey. There's some, like, facial expressions that, like, my friends can do. I'm like, you're just warming my heart. You're just warming my heart.
Yeah.
Similarly to sounds, there's facial expressions.
Right.
Kasey does this, like, okay, this is very visual, so unfortunately you're gonna have to go to YouTube. But Kasey does this sad face that, like, without fail makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like, makes me viscerally sad.
Right.
Every time.
Okay.
Okay,
here we go. I gotta get in the mindset. Again, I'm really just embracing my acting here. You know, I was Elle Woods on Legally Blonde the musical in 8th grade. I'm really channeling her in this moment.
I remember you told me that. Did you wear a wig?
It was awful. Yeah, I did.
We won't talk about that.
Anyway. Okay, here we go. It's probably pretty underwhelming, but it always has quite the impact.
You can girl, don't use that weapon like that.
Yeah, I know.
Put your piece away.
You know?
Put your piece Whoa!
Whoa. Didn't mean to inflate the situation.
Or also whoa as in whoa, like a horse.
Oh, so true. Oh, Trevor.
Horses.
Was he facing that way before?
Spooky Halloween episode. But speaking of Halloween experiences, so since Kasey's birthday falls on Halloween weekend, like just about every single year, we have like a combined, like, Kasey, we usually have titled it in the past, Kasey's Halloween Explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
And 3 is tonight, yeah.
Yes. So. This is the third installment in Kasey's Halloween Explosion that's happening today.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a lot of beloved memories, I would say, from Kasey's Halloween Explosion of many moons ago.
I agree. Yeah, so you want me to tell you the story of the first one?
The story, what?
There's not really one specific story, but do you want me to talk about the first one? Because it was quite fun.
I'm trying to remember back to the first one so I can, like, get a picture of, like, where we were.
I don't know if we called it Kasey's Halloween Explosion at the time. Because I was talking...
That's fair.
Because Jacob asked me that, too, because he saw the invitation, and he knew that we had done it last year, but he has the memory of a rock. Like everything is in there. Unless he's wrong and then he doesn't remember. Anyway, so we were talking about it and he's like, I don't think the first one was called
I think you might be
Explosion.
right. I think the first one was a cute invitation.
I think it was too. Or I don't even know if
But there was always a party.
There was always a party. And what did we, because the only year we didn't have one was the first year, and it's because I only knew you guys for like 2 months. And then we went out to dinner and it was cute. I remember that. We went to BJ's. But the next
Girl,
year,
what is it with always going to birthday dinners at BJ's?
Some of BJ's. It's the Bazooki.
But
it
they
gets
do
me every
hit.
time. They do hit. And they know it because the Bazooki's free. And so they're like luring you in.
No, they're like, I'm like, it's my birthday! And it's like 6 months after my birthday, and then they're like, oh my god!
Yeah. It's like Haunting of Bly Manor, the Lady of the Lake. She just quietly comes in the night, steals you into the lake. That's BJ's on your birthday. And that's on Halloween.
And that's on y'all if y'all haven't seen that show, because the visual for that was probably perfect.
Yeah. So the first one, I'm trying to remember. It was the first year we lived together. It was the first iteration of the paper towel sign.
Yes.
Yep. And for this is the only year I think we did this. But my roommates, Aubrey, Lindsay, and then our other roommate, Kate, went to the library and printed out a life-size portrait.
Well, it was composed of many pieces of paper to create it to be life-size.
No, it was not. That's what made it so funny. Was that it wasn't like one continuous like paper. Well, there's many things that made it funny, but it was also it was like 8 by 11 pieces of paper taped together that you had to individually print out as like a grid.
Yes.
And it was Timothy Chalamet.
Yes. So me, Lindsay, and Natalie, another mutual friend of ours, went to the library, and Lindsay, like, that was all Lindsay, like the grid that you were talking about, because we don't have us stupid students, we didn't think to, like, I don't know where we would have done that, like printed it out in like a single sheet of paper.
It would take a lot more planning. Like you had to go like a professional place, like a copy corner or something. But
yes,
I think it was so beautiful the way that it turned out.
It's still so like folded up upstairs, I think.
Yeah, it is, because we've trucked it from place to place, and I think that's so beautiful. Or I guess I have, because it's too beautiful a memory to throw away.
It's too priceless.
But what's so funny about it is it's a little bit warped. He's
very pixelated.
He's very pixelated, and he's so short. And there's something about his torso and his legs that are just so unproportional, and I think that is so funny.
Well, I really got to give it to Lindsay, because she somehow was able to like grid that out to like know exactly like, okay, here's like the left side of his cranium, here's the right side, and like she planned that out.
Words. Cranium. There we go.
Cranium. Bones. But she because she put them together pretty well, I would say, for your birthday. Yeah. Like, you could tell exactly who it was when you looked at the cutout.
Yes.
But for my birthday,
oh my god,
birthday, my loving roommates printed out a similar, like the same format, like 8 by 11 sheets of paper put together to create a standee type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was a member of BTS.
Correct.
However, they kind of like shortened his face a little bit.
Yeah.
So he looked a little bit like a duck, which I think is more than I could have ever asked for.
I think it was so perfect, and it was so funny. Like, it was honestly spooky, because he looked a little bit uncanny. It was like his face folded over, and I was like, this is definitely him. And then we had a little speech bubble. We had a brilliant moment of of brilliance, and we were like, we had a little speech bubble, and we wrote out in Japanese kanji.
Wait, that's right.
Piss in my mouth.
I think it's in Korean. I thought.
Is it? Because he's Korean. That makes sense. I guess I don't know, if I were to do it now, I would do it in Japanese so you could actually read it. But I guess back then we thought this would be really funny to do in Korean. And then you had to
No, I like held up my phone to it, and I was like, piss in my mouth.
Piss in my mouth.
Like, okay, why
okay.
not?
Yeah. I think that's what we originally wanted it to be. I forget if it was supposed to be something else and then the translation was weird, but I think that checks out. I think we probably wanted it to say that.
Google Translate will do the damn trick.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
So true. But for the first Halloween explosion, it's Timothy Chalamet, a little bit too short, pinned up on the wall. And I remember
I was Patrick from SpongeBob.
You were.
I was Sexy Patrick.
Fishnet Patrick.
Fishnet Patrick.
Yeah.
What were you that Halloween?
What was I that Halloween? That's a good question. What was Lindsay? Did we do a matching one? Was that the year Kate and Lindsay were Zach and Cody?
Yes. Kate and Lindsay bought, so the only blonde wigs I could find at Spirit Halloween were labeled as like Trump wigs.
It was so funny.
It was very funny, and like the wigs were too small and like they didn't fit their heads and no, yeah, it was like Trump wig, Zach and Cody vibe.
For sure.
But what were you? What were you that year? I'm trying to remember.
I remember, so last year we did the combined costume with the Mario princesses. The year before that, was that the year that I threw together? Oh, that's
you
the
were
fairy.
A fairy.
So the year before that, the first one, okay, that was the year that I threw together at the last minute an American Psycho costume that did not look like American Psycho.
I'm sure it was great.
It was something. I borrowed a tie from someone, and I had like a big white shirt, and
wait, yes,
yeah,
okay.
and I like when I put the idea together, I originally had like one of those clear like raincoat things because that's what he wears, and that's like the iconic look. But I couldn't find it. That was me burping. I hope you enjoyed that.
We're gonna keep it in.
We're gonna keep it in.
Don't cut that out,
Nope.
Jamie. Don't cut that out.
Anyway, so I threw that together, and I put like some blood all on me, and I was like, this is just gonna have to do. Like, I don't care. It was very minimal effort.
I think that's better than many girlies throw together. No shade on anyone's costume.
No shade.
But like, if you're gonna show up, show up.
So true.
That's all I have to say.
So true. And so I think that was because I remember we also spent some of that night we didn't have that one at the apartment.
I feel like we started there and maybe went somewhere else.
We left because I remember
the first time me and Kasey lived together, we lived in an apartment complex. That was the night that Noah, our homie Noah, all hail Noah, wore an emoji costume.
Oh my god!
And then the next year he was like, I don't have a costume, and I was like, what happened to the emoji costume? That's timeless. And he was like, I threw it away, and I'm like, of course.
Of course he did.
A fucking course. Some people just don't know the value of some things.
This is what I'm saying.
No offense, Noah.
I'm clowning on Noah continually because last year at our last party, his was probably my favorite costume of the entire party. We had a lot of people come over and a lot of good costumes. But he came over as one of my favorite. I love Bob's Burgers, the TV show, and he came over dressed as the main character Bob. And Bob is just a chef with a mustache. So he wore a white shirt and pants and an apron, and he had a fake mustache. And I loved it, and a little name tag that said Bob, and I loved every second of it. And he was at the party and having a good time. And the next morning, we all left.
The ancient relic.
The ancient relic was discovered. I uncovered it as an archaeologist. A fake mustache.
Do you have your little like?
I said my trowel, my brush. Yeah.
Your duster. That's what y'all use in the industry.
The duster. Yeah, the little Hoover vacuum. Yeah.
Dirt devil.
His little fake mustache was like stuck to the concrete, like right outside our door.
Yes, and because of the adhesive, it was there for probably 6 months.
I was gonna say yes. We did not pick it up because it was too funny, and we mentioned to him, and he came over multiple times after that, and we always mentioned it, and he was like, "That's funny," and we all left it until eventually there was a storm, the big rain that came and washed
the Noah's flood,
washed our sins away. Yeah, it was a flood. And I'm sad to this day that that's not there anymore. But that was so funny. But it just shows his willingness to discard old costumes because that was a beautiful mustache and that was a beautiful costume of his, and he just left it to die.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence.
Feel free to insert whatever you want during this time, Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, one memory that I did want to talk about is so the first one that I think was labeled Kasey's Halloween Explosion was when me and Lindsay lived at the previous townhome before this one. Right.
So we had lived together in an apartment. I stayed at the apartment because I didn't have a car, and so I worked at that apartment. So I stayed there in that same unit. You moved to a townhome. And so continue.
Yes, and is now one of my closer friends, but at that time I didn't know him that well, but my friend from Japanese class came to like
This was a really funny part of that.
and I genuinely didn't expect it, but he every 5 minutes was coming up to me and he was like, another shot,
Yep.
another shot, and I was like, girl, I will fall over.
Yeah.
You are probably my height. You're also gonna die. We're going down together. This is joint ship.
Right.
And he was like, oh, I'm gonna take another shot. Well, to my chagrin,
Yeah.
to our chagrin, we go about our ways at the party, and I noticed that everyone is kind of leaving the party. I'm not mentioning him by name because it is kind of an embarrassing story.
It is.
But he can laugh at it now. But everyone was leaving. I was like, what happened to blank? And I look over at the dining room table, and he's holding a red Solo cup, and he's schlumped over the red Solo cup, and I was like, I figured that it would affect him in such a way.
Right. And
he sits up for a second, and then just throws up. And it was so tragically beautiful in the sense that the cup was probably there to catch it.
Yep.
And yet
not
it just
single drop.
not a single drop reached the cup.
Yeah.
And at that point, his friend that had brought him was like, "Oh, it's time to go, blank. Let's head him out." And they had a car ready for him and stuff like that. And they were so close. They were so close. And so I was I was seeing them out through our garage, and my friend, who was being carried by his friend, gave us a long-lasting farewell with a final throw-up on our doormat.
Yes.
In the garage.
Yes.
Which I did forget about until the next morning. I was like, oh, time to go clean. And then I opened the garage and I was like, what's that smell?
What is that?
What's that smell?
Yeah.
And I looked down and I was like, oh, beans. Beans.
How'd those get there?
Yeah, and I was like,
yeah.
Okay. Everyone's been there. Everyone's been there.
No shame in it. It happens to everyone. I want it to be known though that I believe that this was my first time ever meeting this person, and it was so funny because I was drunk, but I wasn't that drunk, and I was talking to him throughout the night, and I remember him being, shot. He was having fun. I was like, oh, this guy's cool. You had talked about him before.
And never subsequently to that have I ever seen him do that.
No,
ever
that's
again.
the thing. Yeah, it was so funny because it was my first impression of him, and then that glorious night occurred, and then he became part of our friend group, and he would hang out with us every so often, and I cannot connect those two people in my mind. So I was like, what must have happened that night that caused those sequences of events? Because what was he even dressed as? Do you remember?
Him and his friend.
Was he cosplaying?
They were sexy tourists.
Oh.
Which is classic. It's I got a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, low effort costume.
You gotta it works.
Yeah.
It's last minute and it's okay, I'm pulling up. Yeah. Ah, shit, I gotta
damn, I need a costume.
Yes. Yep. Noah, this friend that we were talking about who dressed up as the emoji, I was trying to get him to come tonight, and he was like, I was thinking of coming, but I don't have a costume. And on my invitation, as you would expect, I say, wear a costume or be forbidden.
Correct.
And so
as it should be.
Yes, and then I was like, for you, I'll make an exception. I'll let you pull up. No questions asked.
I would have nothing else, because even to be graced with Noah's presence is a miracle in and of itself.
That's so true. This is just, we're gonna title this episode Noah.
He would love that. It's on brand for us. He wouldn't even be surprised.
No, I know. He would dust that off. He's like, yeah, y'all are still talking about me.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, these bitches still talking about me.
These bitches love me. They're so obsessed with me.
My bitches love me.
My bitches love me.
Noah comes in. He's got two girls on his arm.
Yeah,
he's like, what?
His costume is actually just a pimp.
That would be crazy. Honestly, for considering Noah's personality. That would be crazy.
That'd be so funny.
Noah is a very kind, soft, reserved guy.
Yes.
And he comes in just five bitches on his arm.
Bitches
bitches feels appropriate for this costume.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll use the B word today.
Yes.
And I've never said the B word outside of this podcast.
Yeah, never once.
Never before.
Never at all.
But that was round 2 of Kasey's Halloween explosion.
Yeah.
Round 3 last year, I feel like was pretty tame.
No, this is round 3. That was last year.
But that was at Crescent Point. the giving away our address. We're gonna have to
Whoa.
bleep. We're gonna have to bleep that out.
So we had one sophomore year, junior year, senior year. So this is the fourth one.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yes.
So the third one was last year. I'm on board.
Yes.
Continue.
But last year Kasey lived with us in the glorious townhome in which we live, but has since left us to pursue academia.
Correct.
But that was a pretty. I feel like that one was pretty tame.
I think it was nothing crazy. I don't remember anything crazy happening. Except that I got so drunk. I mean, maybe that's why I don't remember anything crazy happening. Maybe I was the crazy thing that was happening.
But that is crazy because Casey's a heavyweight. Casey's a heavyweight.
I used to be. We'll see what happens tonight. But me and Lindsay were talking about this because I live, breathe, eat, sleep, school these days. I have like one.
The past.
Yeah.
The humanity of many lost civilizations.
Indeed. I work over them night and day. And so it's been like I've been at this program for like 2 months-ish, 2.5 months. And I am probably such a lightweight now because there's been no socializing. There's been no drinking. So we'll see what happens tonight. But last year was crazy because I was a heavyweight. Not even because I've earned it. I haven't earned the stripes of heavyweight. I just kind of naturally am that way. But yeah, so last year was my 21st birthday, which is important. There it goes. This is important context because I had social pressure to go crazy. And I was like, well, damn.
I peer pressured you, and I take responsibility.
Yeah, and you're not sorry. And I'm not sorry either, except for the next morning.
I'm not sorry.
I really was. Do you remember the next morning? It was both of us.
Casey could barely get down the stairs.
Yes. So I woke up in my room against all logic. Oh, wait. Let me tell the story of Northgate first. Because that was funny.
This is going to be a story for me, too, because I honestly don't really remember what happened.
So what happened was we had the party at the house, which was so fun, and it was just all of us and, the normal, just, like, getting crazy, blah, 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 blah. And then around, like, 10:30, maybe 11, we're like, okay, a big group of us is going to the bars. Come if you want, but we're doing Ubers, so you're going to have to order your own Uber. We organized all those logistics. We got to the bars, and it ended up being you, me, your boyfriend, fake boyfriend Tyler.
Yes.
Noah. Tori. And, like, there was another group that came too, but those are the ones we mostly went from bar to bar with. The problem we quickly ran into was that dear, sweet Noah forgot his ID. We really should just title this episode Noah because he is such a central part of our lives in all of these stories. But he forgot his ID. And they're very strict here because it's a college town that if you don't have your ID,
we have a prevalent problem of minors attempting to like waltz in.
Yes.
Like, oh.
Right. And so
everyone's trying to get a little drink.
Right. And he was trying to pull up like his student like profile that had his birth date on it. But he couldn't even do that because the bars were so packed because again, hella weekend, everyone's out drinking. That the data was like not working. And so
I think Tyler also forgot his ID that night, and I was like,
did he actually?
Yes, because I remember he was standing outside this one bar and he was like, "Wait, I can pull up my A&M ID."
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh, yes, because the bar is going to look at your university ID
right.
and be like, that man is 21."
Yes.
The one that doesn't even say your date of birth on it, that man is 21. And Noah as well was like,
yeah.
And then at some point he decided to like go back to his apartment because his apartment wasn't that close or wasn't that far from the bars.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, come on now. Come on.
Didn't they take one of the scooters?
I would like to think.
So
I would like to think that Noah through the night was
wind blowing his hair, just like going to get his ID for the bars. I wasn't there for that part because me and Tori, I was drunk and I wanted to keep getting drunk and I wanted to go into the bars that I couldn't get into before because a few of them are 21 and up only. Like some of them do let in 18-year-olds. And some of them don't. So I wanted to go to the ones that I was forbidden to before.
Forbidden.
And so all the shot bars were 21 and up. And I was like, oh my God, we should go take shots at the shot bar. Like, I was so excited to go into these shot bars. And I was, like, so annoyed that Noah, I think I knew that at that point that Tyler had also forgotten his. I was like, I'm just gonna go in and get drunk and ball. And so me and Tori, we like dragged these poor people from bar to bar, and they had to stand outside. It was you, Tyler, and Noah, like stood outside trying to get everything fixed. I think we did that maybe 3 times because Noah still had hope that his thing would load, and so me and Tori would go in and take a shot or whatever. And then continue on. And then, yes, they scurried off into the night to get their IDs. I don't think they ever came back that night.
I think that, like, it was by that time, it was like, yep, we're going to retire.
Yep.
We're going to retire.
So we dragged them all the way to Northgate just for them to stand outside the bars while we took shots. I had fun, though. I was so drunk, I left my glove from my costume in the bathroom at one of the shop bars.
A gift for the next
them.
person.
Yeah, exactly. A relic of Halloween.
Ancient relics.
And so yeah, it was a fun night. But the next day, I woke up in the morning in my bed against all odds once more. So sick. Like
Kasey like hobbled down the stairs and looked white as a sheet.
I had to take like 3 breaks down the stairs. And this is important history. I've never before this point thrown up the next morning. I always throw up before I go to bed because I don't like sleeping when I'm spinning, and then I wake up in the morning and my body has processed it and the damage has been done and I simply have to move on. But this day, oh my god, this day was crazy because I woke up early as you do after you get really drunk. It must have been like 7 in the morning. And I really...
The guilt.
Yeah, and I really needed water, and I think that's what finally got me downstairs because I woke up and I was like, moving is not a good idea. But I was like, I really need some water. And so I hobbled my way down the stairs. I don't know how I didn't fall and die because I could barely walk. But I was so nauseous. I thought I was going to like pass out.
One foot in front of the other.
And so I took like a few breaks on this. These are not big stairs. It's one flight, a short flight. And I took like 3 breaks of sitting down on the steps to get down. And I remember being so proud of myself that I got all the way down because I was like, it's like that's my Everest, were these fucking stairs. And so I got down.
That's my Everest.
I got down, and you weren't awake yet. You got up shortly after, or you weren't out yet. At least you got up shortly after. But I finally made it down to the kitchen, and I made half of a glass of water. I got half of a glass. You made half a glass of water. I created half a glass of water, and then
you conjured half a glass of water.
Yep, and then I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna throw up. Like I was terrified. Luckily, you weren't in your bathroom. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened because I ran into your bathroom and I puked my guts up. It was disgusting. And I felt a little bit better afterwards. And so I was like, okay, maybe that's all I needed to do. I'm done. I'm going to go and get my water. And I sat down on the couch. Walking was a horrible idea. Walking made me so nauseous and dizzy and like lightheaded. It wasn't right.
It wasn't the way the Lord intended.
Right. And so I sat down on the couch and then I was fine until I tried to change positions on the couch. Then I had to throw up again. And so I ran back into your bathroom and I threw up once more. And then you came out of your bedroom. Little did you know, I had a whole history go on before you got up. I had a whole life.
You'd written the logs.
Yeah. And so you came out and I told you that I had thrown up in your bathroom and you were like, oh girl, that's okay. Like, are you okay? You were very nice about it. And then in the middle of us talking, I had to run back into your bathroom and throw up. I think that was 3.
3 times the charm.
3 times the charm. And then we both of us went back and like laid on the couch and we were watching something and then you were like, God, I want sushi. And
did you have some?
I did, but I can't believe that I think I did just because I knew I needed food and you were already going to DoorDash something and I was like, I guess I'll get some. But I remember thinking the idea of sushi was going to make me like throw up like again. But
really anything at that point is just like death sentence.
And that's why I decided to have some, I think, because I was like, nothing is going to sound good. I'm just going to have to grin and bear it because I remember I was laying on the couch and moving my head at all like was awful. Like it made me feel so nauseous and dizzy. And it was that moment, like it's stupid, like it's a hangover, but it was that moment that I was like, I am going to die. Like hangovers, like yeah, there's hangovers that were like, oh my head hurts, bright light, blah blah blah. But then there's hangovers where it's like, oh, I actually like poisoned my body last night,
like alcohol poisoning,
and my body is trying to expel the poison and recover, and that's what's happening to me right now.
Fortunately, I've only had that twice.
Yeah.
The most recent time was when I was in Japan, and the next day, like, it's like you're having like chills and you're having like fever and
Yeah.
you like can barely walk and
Right.
like you're throwing up whatever, but it's like I didn't even eat anything.
Yeah.
Like what, you know.
Yep.
But in Japan, they have these things. This is a short tangent, but they have these things. They're called strong zeros.
Strong zeros.
They're called strong zeros, and they're like pretty high percent. I don't remember what they are, but I would compare it to like a much more delicious and less sweet Four Loko. They're
Okay.
great. They taste great, and so that's why they're deceiving.
Yeah.
They're deceiving.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, you know what I'm going to do to start out the night? I'm going to pregame with 2 tall boys.
Oh, genius.
Before I got on the train to go to the club.
That's genius.
So, you know, we all make our choices.
We
and
do.
that's the consensus of the story.
And that's the honest truth. Yeah.
Do you hear that? I think we're getting some communication from maybe an extra from
Whoa.
an extraterrestrial being.
Whoa.
Jamie, is that you? Jamie, what do you have to say?
Hey guys. Hey guys. I'm an alien. I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation. I just want to let y'all know that we have a segment to get to, and we are about 52 minutes in. Just here to update.
Oh my god, thank you, Jamie.
Absolutely.
Kasey, we have a show for you.
Here we go.
In fact, not only it's not a show for you, it's a show by you.
Wow.
And you're the director. And you're driving the ship. So
Wow.
without further ado, Jamie, can you introduce our segment for today?
I'm so excited. They've been teasing this to me all day.
Rank these bones.
Wow. A hand for the masterpiece. That was amazing.
Rank these bones. So as we teased earlier, Kasey knows a lot about bones.
Yes.
She knows a lot about bones. So I thought there would be nothing better than for a future archaeologist to tier list these bones that I've selected
Oh my god.
for you.
They're so scientific.
I'm gonna show you the bones
Okay.
first,
Okay.
and then we're gonna rank them. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Jamie.
Names of them ready to go?
And they're in the order. They're in the order. Okay, perfect. I was gonna say, you know, the catch of this that could easily go wrong is I was like, Nathan, we have to make sure that we put the bones in exactly the order that I gave them to you, because otherwise I simply won't know what bone they are.
Well, you can always ask me.
I was gonna say you sure as hell know what they are.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna start easy. The femur.
The femur.
I'm sure. So then we have
That's beautiful.
the mandible. Do you think that we should go through them one by one? She tells us like what she thinks of each bone.
I think we should go through all of them and then maybe rank them. I don't know. I think we should. I don't know.
I think that we should go through them one by one so she can tell us what she thinks of each bone and
Yeah.
the background of each bone.
I think that's a
So-
good idea.
Here we are. Now, spoiler alert, y'all got the mandible for the second one.
Wow.
But
Teaser.
here we have
The femur. Specifically, this is a right femur. This is the.
oh my god,
This is the thigh, the meat of your legs. It is-
big bones.
It is the longest bone
Big
in your body.
bones.
Big bones. It is the longest bone in your body. It historically preserves pretty well, just because of how much there is of it. It's a good bone. You can tell a lot from it. If you have the whole thing, or even some of it, you can tell how tall someone was.
Shit.
Shit, right?
Shit.
Shit.
What if I just had a really long femur and a very, very short whatever bone is it tibia? It's not the tibia, is it?
Which one are you asking
The bone that's below the
about? Oh,
knee.
tibia and fibula. Yeah. So if you had
Shit! Okay.
so if you had a really long femur and a really short bottom of your leg,
Yeah. Like, what if that was the case?
it's possible. And this is an age-old quandary for bioarchaeologists. How much to account for human variation? Because yeah, what the fuck if you just had long ass thighs and tiny ass shins?
I just imagine somebody walking, like farting
Like,
around.
this is their knee.
That
That's
yeah.
like this. Yeah. It's possible. It's one of those possibilities that are an outlier and we simply don't account for.
Yes.
Because if we did, we wouldn't be able to tell anything. So in that case, so if we had your femur and it looked as long as like an adult male, even though you're a petite small woman, right? We would say, oh, this is probably an adult male. He was this tall. Blah 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 blah. But then it would just we have a certain amount of error that we allow, and so it's like, oh, that bitch, that was wrong, but that's okay. We all the other ones are fine. So it's like, you know, you never really know, but it's called estimating. We have to do our best with what we're given, which is usually the bare minimum, bare bones.
But that considered, what tier would you put the femur in?
You know, it's helpful. I would say it's a little bit boring, a bit basic. I'm going to go ahead and put it, but you can tell a lot from it, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the C tier.
C tier.
C tier.
Okay.
Shocking.
All right. So, moving on to the next. So, we have 10 bones, so we have a lot to get through.
Okay, I'm excited.
We will briefly cover each bone.
Yep.
Well, you will briefly cover each bone. So, here we have the mandible.
Yep.
I feel like you would be into it.
I love the mandible, to be honest. So, the mandible is the bottom of your jaw. It's like this part that moves when you talk.
I use my mandibles when I'm munching on that ass every
Munching on
day.
that ass.
Yep.
You only have one mandible. Don't say plural.
One mandible. My mandible.
Your single one. Yeah.
My mandible. I use my 8 mandibles every day when I munch on that ass.
Yeah. So I love
Moving on.
I love the mandible because you can tell so much from it. So it's one of the main things we use to tell age and sex of an individual.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because your jaws look different depending on male or female anatomy. Like, you think of male jawbones, you think of like, oh, that's exactly what I did when I taught my students this. I was like, what do you think of when you think of male, like, jawbones? And they were all like, oh yeah, they're pretty. And I was like, like, that's exactly what I did. And because, you know, it's a visual representation of what you're expecting. So they're like super square and super, you know, right. It's like close to a right angle of like the bottom of it, right?
Yes.
Whereas the female jawbone is more like obtuse. She's dainty. She's graceful. Like a So yes. So you can tell that, and then age you can tell from teeth. So like how many teeth they have, how far along they are.
Shoot, by the time I'm dead, I plan on having none. So y'all aren't gonna know shit about me. With that being said, where are you gonna put the mandible?
S tier.
S tier. You fuck with the mandible.
I fuck heavy with the mandible. And the preserve's really good because the teeth preserve. So sometimes it's all we have left of someone. So she's a hard worker.
Y'all aren't gonna
She's
have
pulling
any of
her
my
weight.
teeth.
We'll see about that.
Girl, are you trying to tell me you're gonna steal my teeth?
I'll leave that up to the interpretation of the viewer.
Oh shit, the pelvis.
Oh shit.
Oh shit, the pelvis.
Oh shit. So this is what we call the pelvic girdle. This is actually
the girdle.
This is actually 3, some would argue 8 bones put together.
Okay.
Right. Pelvic girdle is she's slaying. Pelvic girdle is great because it's also
very sexual.
She's very sexual. It's aside from the mandible, it's what can tell us the most about age and sex of a person.
Oh my god.
Because if you have child rearing hips, your pelvis is gonna look different than a man with those narrow ass hips.
Yeah, but my hips don't lie.
Nope.
I haven't had a child, but like
they still don't lie.
They still don't lie.
But you have the capability of having one. You got childbearing hips.
I appreciate. Thank you for that. Shakira. But this to me looks a little bit like a hidden Mickey. It
is kind of like a hidden Mickey.
Like I feel like Walt Disney would hide one of those and be like, oh
yeah. It's very spooky Disney. You know, I went to speaking of Disney, I went to Disney World's Not So Scary Halloween party my freshman year of high school. It was pretty fun.
No way.
They just did a parade. It was literally just a parade. And then they had the rides open after hours, and it was fun.
Shit. And just in time for your birthday. Alien. Hey, Jamie. Jamie, what do you have to say?
I have a question for you, Kasey.
Yeah.
So when I look at the mandible, or not the mandible, sorry, the pelvis.
Yep.
When I look at the pelvis, I just had a question about why do things and animals reflect each other? This just gave me a good idea, a perfect example of how things are reflected in our anatomy.
Uh-huh.
Why is that?
So you're saying like why our pelvis looks...
Why is everything just one side and the exact same thing reflected?
Oh, like symmetrical.
Yeah, symmetrical. I couldn't think of the right word.
Oh, okay. So it's a good question.
Jamie.
It is a good question, Jamie. It's basically like the way that our skeleton was formed was based off of what worked best for our surroundings. And as we became what we call bipedal, meaning we walk on 2 feet, as a default. Like a lot of animals can walk on 2 feet, but like only for a little bit. You think of like a monkey. They go like this, and then they go back.
Monkey.
But humans evolved to walk on 2 feet because our brains got so massive that we had to be able to hold it on the top of our necks without falling over.
Yes.
Right. So as that happened, that's just an example of like our skeletons forming to fit the needs of our surroundings, right? So the symmetry, I'm sure there is a theory. We're not really taught about it, but I'm going to theorize for you, Jamie, is that you need to be able to use both sides of your body equally well.
Okay.
Right? Like say if I had a really long...
I sure can't.
Right. If I had a really long femur on one side and a short-ass femur on the other, you can't walk.
You would look stupid.
You'd look dumb as hell. You
also wouldn't be able to walk.
You get made fun of by the other monkeys.
More to your point, you wouldn't
Correct.
be able to walk.
You wouldn't be able to walk. And even primates who have, they're not bipedal. They walk on arms and legs. If one of their arms are shorter than the other, it makes it a lot harder to walk and to run, right? So by default, we need to use both sides of our body the same way. And if one of them's different, then we can't really do that. And that's the short answer.
So also, does anything have to do with the fact that it's just simply easier for it to copy something that's already, like, does that have anything to do with it? That it's one half of us, it's just easier for it to copy the other thing? Like, like in insects, like, patterns on the back of their backs are, like, copied the exact same way on both sides. Is it just because it's easier for it? I don't really know what I'm talking about, but does that have anything to do with it?
No, I know what you're saying. I think there's something to be said about DNA and what's encoded in it and how it makes every single part of your body. It's hard to say that it's because of that, because your body is still making both sides of it. It's not like it's a template and it can just type in the code for flipped, right, for your pelvis, because each side of your pelvis is not the same bone. They don't line up, right? They're flipped. They're symmetrical. So the DNA still has to be different for both. Mm-hmm. It's something to think about. I honestly haven't really looked into it much, but that's what I would think is like it could have something to do with it. I'm just like I don't know enough about the intricacies of DNA to say it definitely is, but it could also just be how everything evolved to be used, and like it's just easier to do it symmetrically. But your body could write the code for a longer or shorter femur. People with disabilities.
I sure hope mine don't do that.
Yeah, sure hope not. But people are born with, a shorter arm or, shorter leg and some, capacity. So it's possible to do. And it doesn't mean that it's necessarily easier or harder, quote unquote, for the DNA to do that. I think it's just default for our body to be symmetrical because it's how our surroundings have shaped us to be able to move around.
Jamie gave me a signal in his alien language that meant that he was happy to hear your answer and that he was satisfied with it.
Love that.
Was that like a rough translation? Was that like about right? But
I didn't know you speak alien.
I do. That's a side gig to this job.
Wow.
To being host of Bob and Friends. But where do you put, like, considering all of that, where do you put the pelvis?
The pelvis. I'm going to put the pelvis up in the A tier. I'm putting it below the mandible. Because even though arguably the pelvis can tell us a lot more about a person, it
don't have teeth.
It don't got teeth.
It don't have teeth.
It don't have teeth, but it's also really hard to work with. And
yeah.
I kind of hate it because of that. So I'm degrading it down to an S tier or an A tier. So
jump scare! It's the spine.
Whoa!
It's the spine. Yes, this is many vertebrae composed together, but I'm just putting them together as a unit because I feel like.
It's an entity.
I don't know. It's like connected to Attack on Titan. The founding Titan looks kind of like that. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But what do you feel about the spine? Personally, I'm personally spooked out by the spine, but like, where do you put the spine?
I have mixed feelings about the spine because it's really, really hard to work with. And for that reason, I would probably put it in like, I'd put it in like the C tier with the femur. Here it goes.
That's crazy.
Because each of the vertebrae are, they're in order, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not everything preserves, and they're very hard to preserve. That's also why I put it in the C tier, because they're so hard to keep together because it's so porous. Like the middle of it is just like porous bone, and it just kind of like, and it breaks easily. Like it's just, they're weak as hell, right? And
I hate the spine. I'm just kidding. My spine, if you're listening.
We love you.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
My spine collapses as soon as I stand up to walk. It's sentient and it's listening.
There it goes.
Okay, followed by, who do we have next? Whoa! I think it's the clavicle, if I'm not mistaken. Wait. Oh, check my notes. It's the scapula!
Whoa!
It's the scapula.
The scapula.
I was going to see if I can, like, wing it by memory. Wing it, because it looks kind of like a wing.
That's a good one.
I'm also wearing wings.
I'm the bee.
That'll be the last thing we talk about before we hang up the phone.
Okay. So this is the scapula. So it's on your back. It's what connects your, kind of your back to your arm bone, your humerus, your funny bone.
Your humerus.
So, I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the B tier because I think it's interesting and everyone always thinks it's the clavicle. You're not alone in that.
Girl, that was embarrassing.
No, girl,
I
it
was the
wasn't.
one that, like, literally looked up, I'm like, scapula stock image, like, last night.
Girl,
like,
it's not embarrassing because it kind of looks like it, but it's on your back. But it's super thin and you can't really tell much from it, but I still think it looks cool.
it looks like a wing, so, like,
Yeah.
I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
But what do you think about... I think this is the clavicle. What? Yeah, it is the clavicle.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming up.
So there she goes.
Yeah! What do you think about the
Right,
clavicle?
So I actually think the clavicle is so... I love the clavicle because it's so easy. It's so easy to side.
It's curvy.
It's so curvy. So the way that I was taught to side, or like which side of the body the clavicles would go on, are because if you look at it, it kind of looks like you took Play-Doh and like rolled it between your hands and then flattened it on the side.
Oh,
And so we were taught that the circular side where you got, where you started, it goes in. And as you go further out this way, it gets flatter. Because you got lazy and you said, blah.
Play-Doh.
Play-Doh.
My clavicle is Play-Doh.
Yep.
Where would you put it? Like, do you fuck with it or like?
I fuck with it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it. I'm gonna put it in the A tier, but for different reasons than the pelvis. I like the clavicles. I think it's fun.
Clavicles are sexy too. Like, I'm like, damn, I can see your clavicle through your skin like 10 miles away from here. Like,
ask any guy from Bridgerton; they will say that it's sexy.
Oh, please.
So I just think it's fun. You can't really tell anything from the clavicle, but I still think it's cute. So I'm gonna put it in the nice A tier.
Cute bones. So, what do you think about the tibia? I was gonna say, you were just waiting for me to say it. You already knew what it was, but
I heart the tibia. I think they're so fun. They're smaller than you think they are, and that's really thrown me off a lot.
I feel like, yeah, but that's no, your tibia's down here.
Yeah,
that was a tough moment.
That was a good one.
I thought the tibia was in my arm,
and that's okay. There's 206 bones in your body. You can't keep them all straight. I am forced to. So that's what you got me
back
for.
to the salt mines.
Back to the salt mines. So this is the lower part of your leg, and then you see that little like hook thing.
Yes.
At the bottom.
Is that what like goes into your ankle?
Yeah, that's this thing.
Shit! That thing.
Thingy-majig, yeah.
That thing hurts when I bang it against the.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Corner.
Poor structural design, if you ask me.
I agree.
God, don't hate me.
Right. But if you look at the top of it, it kind of looks like an elephant, which I think is kind of cute.
Let me study it a little bit.
You can't see it really. You have to look at like from an aerial perspective.
But you can kind of see view.
You can kind of see the top, like kind of it's like round on the top, and there's that little jet out. If you look at the top, it kind of looks like an elephant.
Oh my god.
Which is kind of cute. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the C tier. No. B tier. I'll put it next to the scapula. I think it's fun. You can tell the same amount from this. You can tell from the femur, but I still think this is cooler than the femur. So I'm gonna put it above the femur.
Okay, yeah.
That's cool, and it looks like an elephant. And honestly, these are very surface level reasons for putting these here, but this is my personal opinion, and you can deal with it.
This is just how you like the bones.
Correct.
Like literally, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about what any science is saying. You are what matters right now. Mm-hmm. It's your birthday.
Agreed.
It's so small.
So small.
Okay, so
This is really fun for me.
I was gonna say watching me like go
Yeah.
scramble to my notes to
Yeah.
see. So here we have the radius.
Correct.
The radius. What do you fuck with it? This one was the only one that didn't have a background on the image, so it's floating on the desktop.
Was the background
On the-
like a field with flowers and clouds and
I should have like
the
dropped
radius
it.
the
I
radius the
should've-
radius flowing free in the wind.
Oh my
That
god,
would have been good.
I could have made it better. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I like the radius. The radius is in your arm. The cool thing about your arm bones, especially like the bottom half, is that they're the only bones in your body that twist over one another.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that fun?
Wait, yeah, no, that makes sense
Yeah.
to me.
So if you're looking at, that's why anatomical position is a thing. Honestly, these are pretty powerful bones because they've created anatomical position. But that's why anatomical position is a thing where you have to have your arms facing up. Because if you're looking at your arm like this, then your radius is here. So you'd say, oh, my radius is on the left side of my arm. But if you flip it,
It's on the right side of girl.
right side of
That's
your
too
arm.
confusing for me. How do you? Don't. I'm not gonna quit my day job.
my brain's massive. What can I say? I'm going to go ahead and put the radius in the A tier. I would put it in the S, but I don't think it's quite as powerful as the mandible. But it has just
Mandible.
it has just influenced
It's
it.
floating.
It's floating. It, along with the ulna, have really changed the game.
Yeah.
And I think it's really funny that they just
just flipping
they're holding
on each
hands
other like
forever.
that.
Yeah. They're constantly either they're fighting, or they're just having a little playtime. And they're like,
Which
oh,
is-
what if I did? What if I
What about
What
changing the game?
never let them know your next move?
Then. Okay, I wanted to switch it up and put a funny image in here.
oh,
So
this is good.
here we have the tailbone.
So
I
this-
just liked this image.
yeah. So
Forgive me.
It's so good.
Forgive me,
I
Father.
love it. He's just the hands are so funny.
Very smooth.
Yeah. So this is part of the pelvic girdle. We saw the tailbone in the previous image.
You're right.
But specifically the tailbone is the ending of your vertebrae.
Mm.
Right? This is where before we evolved not to have a tail, the tail would have been. We do technically have a tail. It's just that. It's just this big. That's
Girl,
our tail.
Girl,
Ain't that spooky?
my like warrior cat fantasy. Don't tell me that we used to have tails. Like
Yeah. Well, not humans, but as living beings.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't get my hopes up.
Don't get your hopes up for them to resprout. But I'm going to go ahead and put the tailbone. Actually, I'm going to put it in the D column. First D. Because it never
Why?
it never preserves. It's never the same amount of vertebrae. And it hurts when you hurt it.
That's so true.
So
Like when you fall down the stairs,
remember
like on your
remember
butt,
when I fell down the stairs with my butt?
on your tailbone.
On my tailbone.
Yes,
It
you
hurt.
had a
it hurt
big
to s-
bruise.
Yeah. It hurt to step-
Black and purple.
It was
and
really. It was like
dark
I wanna say
cloud
it's like-
sky.
it was the imprint of the stair on my ass. Basically, it was really fun.
Damn.
But we never really find it archaeologically. It doesn't really tell us much if we do find it, and it hurts.
And it
And that's
hurts. According to the picture, it really hurts too.
And here's a skull.
Here's the cranium.
So this is interesting. This is a human ancestor skull. Did you do that on purpose?
I did not do that on purpose. I looked up cranium and I looked for a picture that had a white background, and
Good.
this is the one that I
This
found.
works well. This is good. This is anthropological.
Good.
I heart the cranium.
I knew
It's-
you would fuck with the cranium.
I fuck hard with the cranium. I think it's so complicated. There's so many bones in your cranium. You don't even know.
I'm sure of
even
it.
know.
I'm sure of it.
And they're all like
I don't even know.
You don't even know. And they're all like connected in crazy ways, and they all evolved for very specific things. Like, it's really interesting when you study how many bones, like what each bone in the cranium does. It's like we really went through a lot of trial and error to get here.
We sure did.
We sure did. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the S tier. Because we can also tell species from most of these bones, but specifically with the cranium, we can tell a lot from it. And this is the cranium, not the skull, because it doesn't have the mandible.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, is the skull with the mandible and the cranium.
Correct.
It's everything together. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And now we all learned something.
Girl, a picture says 1,000 words.
It does.
I love that picture of the tailbone.
That is really good. And I'm sorry I had to put him in the D. I'm sorry I had to do it to him, but
But you had such reason.
Yeah.
Like to put him there.
thank you. Thank you.
Did you enjoy? rating the
loved
bones.
that. I loved that. I love looking at bones, and I love talking
And we learned
about
something
them.
today.
And yeah, I'm sorry if it was boring, but frankly,
Girl, I
now
learned
we all
something,
learned something.
today,
Well,
and
that's
it was
good.
invigorating, and I feel refreshed, and I feel like I can go tell everyone about, like, actually, fuck that bone for this reason.
Actually, fuck that bone because it doesn't do anything. What's it
No.
for? Every bone it does something except for the tailbone, and like that's what that is,
It's stupid.
and that's the truth.
We need to evolve
Y'all
a
can
little
fight me
bit
on
more.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But the last thing we were gonna talk about. Oh, I'm so sorry. Alien communication. Alien communication is coming in.
Wow.
We have to exit the segment. And the way that we're gonna do that. Break these bones.
Thank you. This has been Rank
These
Those
bones. No, me and Nathan have a really fun time. Sorry, me and Jamie have a really fun time making
this
this.
Nathan you keep talking about?
I don't know who the fuck that is. I didn't say that, but
He's in the same place as Tyler.
my fake boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yes, but before we close out this episode of Bob and Friends,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about I'm the Bee.
I'm the bee.
I'm the Bee.
I'm the bee.
So I have these like, I'm wearing these like godforsaken bee wings that
Yeah.
are on my back,
Yeah.
and
They've served us well as far as costumes go.
if you don't got anything, because last year Lindsay was like, I need to find something to be for Halloween. And I was like, girl, you're gonna be the bee.
You're the
If
bee.
you don't come up with something, you're gonna be the bee. This year I threatened Nathan, who is a separate person from Jamie.
Right.
I threatened Nathan, and I was like, if you don't come up with a costume, you're gonna be the bee.
Yep.
You're gonna wear the wings.
It's
and he's like, no!
It's always an overhanging threat of if you come to Kasey's Halloween explosion without a costume, you might be forced into these godforsaken, squeeze, small, tiny ass wings.
Chafing of the armpit.
Chafing of the armpits, cutting off circulation, blood curdling.
I don't know if I can move my arms after this podcast.
And, that's on professionalism.
It's called keeping it going.
It's called leaving it out on the field.
Leaving
it out on the court.
Friday Night Lights, leaving it out all on the field.
All on the field.
Jamie, what do you have to say?
Well, before we end this episode, I actually did want to do one last thing, which was communicate, alien communicate,
Whoa.
about our mishap in our last episode and how Kasey.
Oh my god. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay. Formal apology.
Yeah. Put some tears on. Come on. Give it your
Where are
all.
my eye drops? Me and Nathan got history wrong last episode.
Yes.
And Kasey clocked us for
Yes.
that.
Immediately.
When we were discussing the Lewis and Clark,
Yeah.
the Lewis and Clark,
The drag of Lewis and Clark.
it was not Pocahontas.
No.
As Kasey pointed out, it was in fact,
Sacagawea.
it was not
Now,
Pocahontas.
listen. This is the hardest I've laughed.
Can't be trusted.
This is the hardest I've laughed in a long time. And I looked at the video of the podcast that they posted on their TikTok. Shameless plug. Go check out the TikTok of that clip. And I was like, oh my god, this is so fun. Like, oh, Lewis and Clark in drag, you're so funny. I was like, yes, this is amazing. And then they start talking about, and then Aubrey, Bob, as she's professionally known.
I'm not that person.
I don't know who that is. Goes, well, I don't want to read the room wrong, or I don't want to be tone deaf. But this is different than the Rape Brothers. Right.
Which is the best
funny.
thing that I picked that.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, it was Pocahontas.
Right. And that's funny.
Shame!
And that's funny in and of itself. And then sweet Nathan had to say, oh no, they're different people, Westward Ho. And y'all got back on track, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'm having a great time. I'm moving along. Here we go. And then Nathan goes, it's Lewis and Clark and Pocahontas. And then he goes on to clock Lewis and Clark for not actually doing anything and having Pocahontas do all the exploring for them. So now we have this character.
We did not go to high school. It's clear.
We have this character of Pocahontas the Explorer. Which I think is so funny. And it was just so comical how you guys were both like, I don't know the story that well, but I do know, like, fuck Lewis and Clark. And, like, it was Pocahontas, and she deserves the real credit for this.
Although they did not meet.
Preach.
They did not meet.
The intention was good. The intention was pure.
Was good.
The intention was pure. However, As
Wrong
soon as I saw
person.
that, I howled laughing, like tears in my eyes, alone, like just going crazy laughing. And I immediately commented, I was like, not Pocahontas. # justice for Sacagawea, because my girl did not carry that baby on her back
No.
across the Westward Ho to be forgotten, and I will stand by that.
Lord have mercy upon our
Lord have
souls.
mercy.
It turns out that I think the best part about it is that me and Nathan were very convinced. Like, we were very convinced when we were saying that. We're like, oh yeah, Pocahontas. Westward Ho, Pocahontas. Even then, Pocahontas did all the work for Lewis and Clark because clearly they were there together at the same time.
Yeah. So for just so we're all clear, the pod knows that it was not Pocahontas, and that Pocahontas was indeed a completely different person from a completely different time period. And she has her own story with the English colonizers and everything with John Smith. So that is a separate story. But yes, Lewis and Clark came with Sacagawea and then did the whole exploring. I still think Lewis and Clark would be sickening in drag.
Yes.
With Sacagawea withering them with glares from the other side of the room.
Yes, it would be the same thing where it's like they would get into hot water like a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, like.
But they're like, oh, that's my bestie Sacagawea though. She doesn't mind.
And then Sacagawea would be like, I mind.
Be like, bitch, get out of here. I mind.
I mind.
And that's that.
But yeah, I think that we just gotten carried away.
Yeah.
We just love each other so much.
We really, really do. And so yeah, I just wanted to say, God have mercy upon their souls, for they know not what they do. And that was an important thing that we had to clarify. But I've had so much fun doing this, and for context,
and you will be back.
And I will be back. And I did one of these before when it was just in its wee years, a toddler years of
the
Bob
practice
and Friends.
of Bob and Friends.
Right. And I did not like my performance. And now I feel like I have redeemed myself. I had so much fun here, sitting in this closet with you.
It's
my
hot.
ass is asleep.
That's good.
Yes. I'm sure you can't feel your arms.
No.
But here we sit.
No, we cannot.
About to go get ready for Kasey's Halloween
Explosion.
4.
So. Wait, you know how we're gonna end it?
What's that?
We're gonna say 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Sacagawea.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloweener.